Hello and welcome to 60 Minutes or Less, a podcast from Birthday Cake for Breakfast. I'm Andy Hughes, and for episode 63, it's a thrill to feature an interview with Jim Ward of Sparta and At the Drive-In. A native of El Paso, Texas, Ward co-founded cult American post-hardcore band At the Drive-In, and during his tenure released a trio of studio albums and several EPs to much acclaim, before the band knocked it on the head in 2001. Moving on from the breakup Sharpish, Ward's next move was to form Sparta with members of At the Drive-In. With numerous lineup changes over the lifetime of the band, the outfit have put out 6 studio albums across 20 plus years, with their latest album, Cut a Silhouette, arriving May 2026 via Equal Vision Records. I caught up with Jim over Zoom the week of releasing Cut a Silhouette, where we spoke of the new record, as well as the built-up mythology of At the Drive-In, drinking to cope with music industry pressures, a lifelong love of Billy Joel, and the infamous At the Drive-In appearance on Later with Jools Holland, featuring a bemused Robbie Williams. If you like the episode, let us know. Follow us on your favourite streaming platform and follow Birthday Cake for Breakfast on all the socials. Right, on to Jim Ward. Enjoy.
Is this just audio or is it video? Both.
Just audio. I mean, Jim,
Okay.
I'd be happy to have your mini trampoline in the background for the entire.
That's what I'm asking. Like, do I need to wear a hat and move the trampoline or am I okay?
I hear you. No, you're all good. It's currently 30 odd degrees here, which is unusual for the UK. So I'm happy to be off video myself.
Yeah, we were there last summer, the first week of July, and it was brutal, man, for you guys. Brutal. For us, not so bad, but for you guys, brutal.
I was going to say, because you're Texas, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, we're like over 100 all summer. It's all like not even a thing. Or I guess like I don't know what that is for you guys, 40 something.
Oh, sure. Oh, man. I think the country would come to a standstill if it went anywhere above 35. You said just then, you were here in the UK. Last July, we saw you at the Star and Garter in Manchester,
Okay.
and there's some real history for you in that venue.
Yeah.
Is it right that you played with At the Drive-In back in the day at that very same venue?
I mean, I think all that stuff's real fuzzy for me. We kind of our band for the myth that has evolved from it was really never that big, Like when we were doing it, we weren't playing anywhere bigger than I think probably Astoria is like the biggest place we played, like probably anywhere on earth, to be honest with you. And we never came back for like the big show. We stopped before we got back for the big shows. So all those clubs, probably with the Murder City Devils or something like that, and just yeah. I don't remember for sure. I mean, I know this time I remember it very well, but just because right, like Oasis was about to come and that's everybody was only talking about that.
Oh yeah, how's that coming back to Manchester and having the Oasis reunion being pretty much the news story? How was all that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm a huge Oasis fan, and I actually had tickets for the LA show, but we got picked up for a tour, and my whole life I've always taken the show over everything else. It's just the way that I am. So I played the show. It wasn't even a good show, but that's all right.
What's it like, I appreciate you say your memory is a bit fuzzy. I appreciate also that it's, going back 20 plus 30 years ago. But what's it like revisiting venues, particularly if you've been in one before in a previous
Well,
lifetime, in a previous age?
I've never really left them, like I've never really gotten above the level that I mean, Sparta had a minute like in the early in the wiretap where things were getting kind of big and we were playing bigger rooms, but we kind of went back on threes. So I don't know. To me, this is my community, and I feel, sort of like why I wanted to be on Equal Vision on this record. I wanted to go back home. This is always what I've considered home. And I think it wasn't really until our drummer Neil, who's been with us about 4 years now, but this is his first record, he said something kind of off the cuff one day. He said, "Well, Sparta was born on the majors." And I never thought about it that way because it's been one long journey for me. You know what I mean? Like I started playing in backyards in El Paso. And, the other day I played a backyard in El Paso. Like we did our warm-up show in a backyard and it was great. But in that journey, I think I never really appreciated I knew I was uncomfortable, but I don't know why I was uncomfortable. And I think with time, with age, that stuff gets a little bit easier to understand. And I think when he said that, it kind of dawned on me that it's just not where I belong. And it's fine. I made so many good friends at those labels and friends for life. And we had lots of success and it was great and it was fun and it's fun to be on a giant bus with a bunch of people and carrying lights and all that stuff is, it was great, but I was never comfortable. And I think it's because I didn't build it that way. So I think now I'm just sort of like, I want to come home to my community, to a label that I identify with, where I get the inside jokes, like at a meeting. I understand the bands that they're referencing. I know that the ethos, I speak their language. So I think all of that has been like it's been really fortunate for us to get to come back. I mean, it's fortunate for us to keep doing this, honestly. Like it's not lost on me. I'm like a cat, Like I can't die. Just keep having lives over and over and over again.
It's interesting, you said that. I've read before pretty much what you said about looking back on that time and saying you were wearing somebody else's clothes almost, in the early Sparta
Hmm.
major days.
I mean,
How
literally.
is well, yeah, more expensive clothes maybe, but how is it going from, that position where, like you say, you are in smaller rooms and then all of a sudden you're caught in the likes of DreamWorks and stuff like that? How is that sort of transition on the ground?
Yeah, I just drank a lot. That's what I did. I just drank as much as I could to get through, not really knowing it at the time that that's what I was doing. I think we just thought it was a big party and like might as well enjoy it while it's lasting and like we have no responsibilities and we have more money than we've ever had and whatever. But I was really suffering on the inside and I didn't really know it and I didn't know how to deal with it. But yeah, I think that's how I dealt with it. I think I mean I was 24, like my brain wasn't even fully developed yet. I don't know that I don't know that I well, I mean I do know I didn't have the skill set and I certainly didn't have the people around me with the skill set to handle what was happening. And obviously now would be different. Like I'm 49. I've run multiple businesses in El Paso. I understand tax savings and fucking payroll and I understand everything now. But at the time it was just like let's just get fucked up and play and see what happens. And that has like a pretty short shelf life, to be honest with you. I made it to the end of Porcelain without like a major sort of breakdown. And then I left a tour, which I'd never done before. I've never canceled a show. I've never missed a sound check. I've never missed a practice. And I walked away from a tour. And that was the first time that it kind of dawned on me that I wasn't okay. And that's sort of what changed the band. If you look at like the end of the Wiretap Porcelain era, it kind of ends with like the end of Act Two it was definitive, and it was me like leaving a tour.
You say, that you've got your head around stuff like figures and all the rest of it. And I do want to touch on this in a minute, some of the businesses you've set up, like the non-profit that you've set up, You Rock, the music camp, because I think that's, sounds really important. But like, have you had many interactions with people where those people can have people around them that can offer support in the music industry these days for people who've got addiction problems or just are struggling a bit with health and stuff? Or is it kind of still how it was back in the day?
That's a really good question. I think that we talk about it more now for sure. And it's not like I have the answers or I know like it's not like you're never healed, right? Like everybody has trauma. Everybody's shit is important. I mean, I know plenty of people that went to college and just couldn't take the pressures of college. Like I'm not saying any of this is more important than anything else. I do think that in this industry we're fueled by substances, especially to keep you dumb. I think that the whole young and dumb model works really well for people that know what they're doing. And I think, what we're getting out of it is also great. Like we're getting to tour the world and we're getting to play music and we're getting paid probably less than we should be getting paid. But what I would love to see more is just better advocates for young artists. But that model doesn't really work because advocates are going to keep you from doing things that are making you money. That's what it comes down to. And they want us to stay on the treadmill because the treadmill makes money until we burn out and then they move on to the next band. That's how it works. And I think even if you know it when you're in it, it's really hard to see. And I think that older people now are spending more time talking to younger bands. I've been on tour and watched older bands talk to younger bands just about drug use. Like, not even like, don't do it, but like, okay, here's a safe way to do it, or here's something that you need to carry with you. Like, that's never been my bag, but I've seen, because I think all of our careers are long now. Like, there wasn't really anybody around me when I was 19 or 20. There wasn't any older bands around me. They were kind of like, the older bands were like two generations above us. Now it's like it's just the community has gotten bigger and more sort of integrated. So I do think it's probably better to some degree, but it's also like it's hard to tell a young person what they're doing isn't because all of these are such unique journeys that I can't tell a young, I mean my niece and nephew are in a band, they're 20 and 21. Like I can't my experiences don't apply to them at all. They're like, they got like TikTok famous or whatever. Like they're selling tons of tickets right now because of one video on, like, I don't have any history with that. I don't know what to tell them about that. All I try and tell them is to like, it's okay to say no. If you need somebody, I'm here. Enjoy it as much as you can. Like, yes, there's shitty days that you got to get through because that's just work. We all have to work, but also it's okay to say no. That's kind of the biggest lesson, but I do think it's better, honestly. I just think there's more resources.
I appreciate, you said you're not quite in front of all of it, but that must be wild seeing them in a TikTok generation having, like you
It
say,
is.
one video and then bam, and then
Yeah,
yeah, that in itself can result in, some major stresses, I'm sure, and health issues and stuff because it's a lot to take on, I imagine.
it
So
is. It is for
is
sure.
that
And kind of the greatest thing that they said when they were done with their first tour was like, we're going to take some time off. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not. But it's good that you're saying that, and of course they didn't. But if you're striking when the iron's hot because you want to do that, that's one thing. If you're doing it against your will, or you're being convinced to do it, that's a whole other thing. Like, you don't have to convince me to do anything anymore. It's like I'm either going to do it or I'm not. But that comes with time. But I mean, well into my 20s, like into my late 20s, I was getting pummeled by people on our team to do shit that I didn't want to do, actively fighting against it. And I mean, that's why I left the band after threes. I took a long break. It turned into years because, and I told them, like, all I do is lose votes. If we're a democracy and I lose every fucking vote and I'm writing all of this and I'm singing every night and I'm hurting and nobody cares, then I gotta go. And so I did, and I went and started a country band and had a fucking blast and lost all my money and it was great.
I think that's the be all end all for everyone, isn't it? Go off sideways, make the country record and lose everything.
Yeah. Well,
Start
I mean, there's
clean.
like in a way, right? Like when you're when your therapy, which music is therapy to all of us, when your therapy becomes a source of your stress, it becomes feedback and you can't escape it. And then knowing that there's like everybody has their own issues, like nobody's exactly the same. There's neurodiverse and there's people with anxiety and depression. We never talked about that stuff, but like the guy in the band that's getting up and drinking every morning, there's a reason for that. And it's not just because it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's really not. It's because it's like anxiety, depression, and ADD. Like it's a whole different set of problems, but it's the same, like we can disguise it with oh, we're in the band. It's okay. Like I'm in a band. I don't have to get up at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning or whatever, and I can sleep till 2. I can party till 4 because I'm in a band. You know what I mean? I can do drugs because I'm in a band. I can fuck whoever I want because I'm in a band. Like none of that is healthy. And everybody allows that to happen because it just kind of fuels the myth and it fuels the industry and it fuels the money and it fuels the fans. And there's a balance in there somewhere. Like I'm all for doing whatever you want, but just kind of know being self-aware is important. That's all.
And with that, being self-aware, I'm sure that reflection process is a lot easier nowadays. But how is it when like you say, back in the day, you are hurting and, you're in Sparta and you're not winning these votes. How is it having to go out there and promote records and such, knowing that inside, you might be struggling with something or you are
That's
hurting?
that's the feedback, right? The feedback is I don't want to be here, so I'm going to get fucked up. And then that's going to make you feel so much worse the next day. So you have to get fucked up again to do your job. And then it becomes this like cycle of like you may not be like a quote unquote alcoholic, but you're definitely medicating yourself. And when you're medicating yourself, it's a slippery slope. And I'm really kind of lucky that drugs aren't my thing because I do like to consume. And if I was into drugs, then I don't think I would be alive, honestly. So the fact that I had like the low level substance choice, I think was like beneficial for me. And also like I had a pretty stable home. Like when I got off tour, like I came to a family that was like not encouraging that and helping me understand what was happening. And I'll be grateful for that forever. It wasn't like I was on my own and just like living in hotels when we weren't on tour. Like I came home to a stable place that had boundaries, and that was great for me.
So, I said that I wanted to talk about it, and I do really think it's such an important thing, this being the co-founder of the music camp for empowering young women to get into music.
Yeah,
That must be so important given what we've literally just talked about to
it is
do.
easily, yeah, easily the best 2 weeks of my year. Easily. Like watching these young ladies come in, never have picked up an instrument. They learn how to play the instrument, they form a band, they write a song, an original song, and they perform it live. And this year we're introducing a production pod. So we're going to have girls that don't want to be on stage but want to be in the industry that are going to learn sort of like the very basics of light, sound, stage managing, sort of start introducing to the world of if they stay in the camp, every year we can kind of grow this, but this is a boys club, you know what I mean? And I think the only way to change it from my point of view is to do it from the inside. And I'm as inside as you can get in this town, you know what I mean? So if we can build something that is starting to plant these seeds in this community and sort of just change that narrative a little bit, then I think we did our job. But for me, selfishly, it's like honestly the best 2 weeks of the year where I just get to see just it's so fun and innocent and awesome and inspiring and I mean they're also teenage girls, so there's like some drama in there and there's some stuff that you got to learn how to navigate. I don't have kids, so a lot of this is like learning a little bit on the fly from it. All of our instructors are teachers, school teachers. So then I get to watch them work. We get to support them. It's been great. Yeah. I mean, it's my main job really is to raise money to keep it going, but I just get to kind of come in and hang out and watch these kids and give them advice if they need it, but most of the time it's just about like, hey, let's have fun. Let's make you get to be whoever you want to be here. So if your home life is not awesome, I get it, but here you can be whoever you want. You can change your name, and that's why we're inclusive as well. So if somebody who identifies as a girl wants to come to the camp, like fuck yeah, let's go. It's all good.
Just the idea of teaching someone how to do things like sound or how to set up on stage must be so pivotal to some people's lives, because it's stuff that people don't teach, isn't it?
Right. And there's also like an etiquette to all of this. And the school that I come from is like, you're not a rock star. You're not more important. It's like the Henry Rollins thing. You know what I mean? Like you get paid more, but you're not important. All of that stuff can be taught early on. And I was taught that. And I just want to pay that forward to this generation. Like you're important because you're important. You're not important because you're in a band. Like you're as important as anybody else in this room, but you're not more important than anybody else in this room. And it's about being in a group together and a crew and like carrying each other's stuff, setting up the stuff. Like nobody's more important. All of that can be taught really early on. And that's like once you learn that language, I think it really does apply to a lot of life. It doesn't just have to be in a band. I think if they're on a sports team, that's going to help. If they're going to college and they have a roommate, that's going to help. All that stuff is going to help.
Was there something in particular that sparked it? Did you like have encounters you'd heard from people in the industry that
So we had a friend named Esme Beretta she was murdered on New Year's Day 2012. She is from El Paso, but she had lived in Austin. She was killed in Austin, and she was a volunteer at Girls Rock Camp. which is sort of the national version of this. Like we ours is based on it, but it's our own unique because El Paso is a unique place. And we had like a celebration of life kind of thing for her in 2019 in Austin. And I went and played, and Greg from Cigarettes After Sex played, and a couple of other people played. Everybody like volunteered their time, and we had this big show, and it was great. We all missed her, and we cried, and we had this money that we raised that we were going to give to the rock camp. And then her sister and I think her family basically said, like, why don't you take this and do something at home instead? So that was kind of the impetus of it. Didn't, and it took years to figure out how to do it. I mean, COVID hit obviously, and then it took quite a while to sort of figure it out. But we do it in the memory of Esme, who wasn't a musician on stage, but fueled all of us all the time. She's like the greatest example of a music fan, just volunteering her time, working in record stores, like just a fan. And I think a lot of days, those are the people that get us through the day. And I'm here to celebrate it for sure. And I think she'd be proud, honestly.
And it's such a, I imagine for you all is so more important than just, a funeral and a wake. It's empowering still and carrying on the memory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about her to you in England right now. Like that's important. And the reason I'm doing that is because she lives on in all of this stuff. And I know, wherever she is, she's proud for sure. I know that.
So you mentioned, at the start that you've got the new Sparta record coming out Friday this week.
Yeah.
You've put out so many records. Yes, there's the reminder for you. But you've put out so many records, but by the sounds of it, from your reaction literally just then, it must still be such a exciting feeling just having the record on the horizon and having a physical copy in your hands. Is that still, such a mad feeling?
So a couple of days ago, I got the box of LPs, and I got to unwrap it. And these days it's all content is king, right? So
Of course,
they
yeah.
said, they said, hey, can you videotape or can you take videotape? Can you film you open it? Can you do an unopening thing? I've never done that before. And I'm not ever lost for words, ever. And it's like there was very little dialogue in it because I'm just so you know, there's every little step feels real. Feels more real. When you're in the studio, it's like, oh, finally we made it to the studio after we work. I mean, we spent a year on this record before we went to the studio. That's the longest I've ever spent like working on a record, like actually working on it consistently. And then you're at mastering, and you're like, okay, when this is done, this is it. No more anything, no more tweaks. And then you get into artwork, and then you name the record, and then you start building the campaign, and all of the every little bit is real. But I think when you open that LP, when you cut that cellophane, it's like, I mean, it's twofold, right? Because to be 49 and to still be able to do this, to get to do this, to be privileged enough to do this is not lost on me at all. I'm humbled by it. I'm grateful for it. And then also to be 49 and have the sort of the wherewithal to really understand what it takes to get this into your hands. Like, I think it's such a cool feeling because it's like I still feel like a kid in a lot of ways. I still feel like I'm 18 years old on tour, but this hindsight is a real thing. Like being able to understand that somebody sat in somebody because of us sat in a pressing plant and put these mounds of plastic onto a fucking machine by hand. You know what I mean? It's not lost on me. Like I think about them like getting up in the morning and eating breakfast and then going to work and then looking at the sheet and hopefully being like, "Oh, I know this band," or if not like, "Oh, maybe I'll check this out." Whatever the case is, like I just think the idea that other people are doing that you get intertwined in their life before it ever comes out is just it's just really, it's kind of awesome. Like in the real sense of the word awesome. And now it's like now it goes to the fans, and I can't wait. The reaction's been so good off the bat, and the record's so much deeper than these people are even ready for. Like I think it's the best thing I've made in so long, and I feel like the ones that are really sort of like chiming in on social media and stuff like that. These are people that have been with me for decades, and I feel like I did them right.
What's it like thinking, that you've got people who might be, people who might not have heard at the drive-in and are new to Sparta on this record, and then having these people, like you say, who followed you from the start? How is it having that, thinking about how they'll take it on and what their reaction will be to it like?
Oof. I don't think a lot about reactions only because I feel like sometimes my sometimes my emotions are on knife edge, and thinking too much about how people are going to respond to it, it leaves me a little bit more vulnerable than I want to be, especially publicly. I think in this job, to some degree, you got to kind of buck up and just, I don't read reviews because I don't read good reviews because I don't read bad reviews, and I don't want to read any reviews because it's pretty inconsequential. And yeah, the good ones make you feel good, but even on social media, 100 good comments are negated by one asshole. So I personally try to stay away from that as much as possible. As possible. You know what I mean? It's there, and we're human and shit hurts when people are mean. And yes, I can get through it, and yes, I have thick skin, and yes, I can fight back and I can buck up and all those things, but I don't really want to. You know what I mean? Like, even if you can handle yourself in a knife fight, just don't get in the knife fight. I don't want to be in a knife fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. And part of your job is doing it live, and live comes with reaction that you can't filter. And that's all good. Like, I'm fine with that, and we work hard, and I think that we deserve what we have, and I have to just leave it at that. So what I hope is that this record means a lot to me, and I hope that it leaves an impression with people, and I hope that they bring it into their lives, and I hope that it brings them joy and comfort when they need it. And that is literally all I can do.
It must feel like, a lot as well. I read something that said about the last Sparta record that it could be seen that that was, like taking it back to I'd never really think about this with self-titled albums, but that it's taken it back to a certain sound and a certain feeling. But by the sounds of it, this one particularly for you has felt more like, I don't know, like you're a deepening of what you do. Would that be about
Yeah,
right?
I think if I followed the rules, then this would be the self-titled. This would be like the reset record. This would be, but I don't follow that train of thought. Like what I follow more is my own numerology of albums and cycles and points in my life. So I like three is a very big number to me, and this is the third and the second of three. So this kind of ends, to me, this ends act two, or this is the third act in part two, and it does what it needed to do. The first two records of this, like if the first era stopped at threes, which it really did dramatically kind of stop at threes, and then you have Trust the River and the self-titled and this one, and that's all the second era of the band. Like all of that needed to happen for us to get to the next chapter, the next phase. I needed to know that I could go and make these records that maybe weren't listened to very much, and maybe it's nobody's favorite, but if you go back and listen to them, you'll be able to see me learning something in those records that I was able to use on this record. So they don't all have to be, some of them just need to be made for the sake of being made. They don't have to be this one. This one is made like this is just all the things aligned. And that's, you can't really plan for that, but you can definitely fuck that up. And we did not fuck it up. And that's the thing that I'm kind of the proudest of. Like we worked very hard on this record. We came and went from the studio. We took space. We rewrote stuff. We threw shit out. We brought stuff back. And then we went and made a record with one of our absolute heroes. And then we put it out on a label that is legendary in our community. And now we get to go play it for our fans and hopefully new fans. But I think this is the record that old fans will be like, ah, you know, there's my boys.
And can't wait for the third series in the trilogy act to follow.
Yeah, I mean, and that honestly, like I'm stressing about that right now because I know that this is a peak, you know what I mean? Which means I don't know where I go from here. Like in any way, I don't know what I do in life. I don't know what I do in the band, but what I do know is that I'm more in love with music right now than I have been in a very long time. and it feels great, and I'm very healthy, and that feels great. So it's kind of like to be healthy and to be in love with music and to be doing pretty good. And the guys around me are doing pretty good. And we're like a really solid, tight unit that is sort of built for this. And now we get to do it. And that part is really exciting to me.
Quick break in the interview just to give you a heads up about some of our previous episodes. From our first episode to our latest, we featured interviews with the likes of Proto Martyr, The Lovely Eggs, Anna Erhard, Chat Pile, The Future Heads, Public Service Broadcasting, Gang of Four, Joshua Idehen, The Jesus Lizard, and even snooker legend Steve Davis. Treat yourself and go back through the episodes. Be sure to tell all your friends and comrades too. Enjoy! So one thing that I was interested in, I appreciate that Wikipedia can't be trusted, and that would be my last. That's my last port of call when it comes to research, But
Yeah, yeah,
I did a quick skim earlier, and I saw that Billy Joel was cited as an influence,
yeah,
which at first I thought was a bit of a surprise, but then when I listened to the record and even on the opener, lyrically, I can totally get where that comes from. By the sounds of it, he is still an influence.
yeah.
Is he
There's
still
a
like tick? Yeah, is he still ticking away in the background all the time?
Sure. There's like a giant Billy Joel Easter egg on this record. On one of the songs, I basically mimic his heart attack. I don't know if you know that song. You ought to know by now.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. But clearly not
In
as much of a diehard as.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but there's a thing where we mimicked that sort of staccato vocal thing on purpose as a little homage to Billy Joel. Yeah. I love him. I love his storytelling and I love his musicality and I love he was that guy was punk as fuck. If you go back and look at his life and his journey to get where he got and sort of the ups and downs, like he's one of my favorites for sure. I've gotten a lot of shit over the years for talking about him, I'll tell you that.
No, no shade here, Jim. Did you see
I don't
the?
I
Did
don't
you
take
see?
any. Don't worry.
Did you? Did you see the documentary?
I did, yeah. I loved it. I mean, I think, to get into it, part one, so fascinating. Part one is kind of like if you need an intro to Billy Joel, like part one will, yeah. I've always said like I don't want to meet him. I don't want to meet him. I don't want to meet him. And I've had not really chances, but kind of like alluding to it or whatever. And I've always chosen not to. And then after watching part one and seeing where he's at in life now, like I kind of do want to meet him now. I don't know. I feel like I owe him so much. Like, and I know all my influences on the sleeve are obvious, the Fugazis and the U2s, and I've had the chance to meet a bunch of those people and say thank you, but I've never gotten to do it with him. So I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
I mean, dare you want to jinx yourself? But what was the interaction that almost could have been with
Just
him?
like journalists basically that had interviewed me and then interviewed him, and then they were like, should we try to And I said, nah, man, I don't think. It was at the time, you know what I mean? It was like it was on somebody had interviewed me and at the drive-in and I talked about him and then interviewed me again in Sparta. So there had been like a 2-year gap. This is maybe somebody at like Rolling Stone or Spin, and they kind of alluded to it. And I said, no, I don't do that. Like I'm not in the space to even be able to understand what that would be like. So no. Maybe if it was like I walked into and I've been around so long. I have a lot of friends in the industry that have told me great stories about Billy Joel, and yeah, I don't know. Just I owe him a lot, I guess is kind of what it ends at.
I want to get onto you mentioned him being a hero earlier, but before I do, I don't know if you recall you did when you were with at the drive-in. This is another, popular figure in the music industry, but you had a appearance on Jools Holland. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you remember the outro with Robbie Williams, famous British guy at the very end? Do you recall that like it's become like a bit of a meme and I couldn't let you go without, talking about it. Was that all like is it still fuzzy or
I mean, I remember that day really well. I remember Cedric throwing the chair. I didn't realize the chair almost hit Robbie. I got to hang out with Robbie maybe 6 months after, no, yeah, 6 months after that I was at the Brits and I got to spend a minute with him and super cool dude, honestly, like super cool guy, so charismatic and amazingly talented. And also I love that he talks about his challenges and doesn't just, ride the fucking the wave of I'm perfect and a star and whatever. Like you get to dive in. Same his documentary is great as well. And you really learn a lot by that, but no, I don't remember what did he say something at the end of it? I don't because I didn't see it. I didn't see the actual I don't think I've ever really seen the full taping of it. You know what I mean? Or like the
Well,
I don't know what was aired. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it fits in pretty much with your view of his character. Like, he says like a joke like really quick, but it's not at your expense. It's with the what's just gone on. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, as a stamp of the time, it's such a real good coming together of, two
Yeah.
huge bodies at the time.
Yeah, yeah. He was super cool. I mean, Herbie Hancock was super cool. Like they were all cool. Van Morrison did not like us. I'll tell you that.
Believable.
It's all right. I like him. That's good enough.
He's a bit spiky by all accounts, isn't he? So
Oh,
it's
good. Yeah.
totally.
Should be. Should be.
So, you did mention your other hero who you were lucky enough to produce, engineer, and record the record with, Jay Robbins,
Yeah.
who I've read that you said in your teens he was like the center of your musical world. I only realized today that we're actually seeing him on Friday when
Oh, you
you're
want to see Sugar?
going to see Sugar, yeah. And I only realized today that he was supporting. But how is it getting that working relationship with him, at 49 or 48 when you made the record, having him be such a big part of your life?
So it's funny because he was telling me what Bob Mold means to him. Just like when he's in a room with him, he's a little bit reserved because this is a guy who made him want to be in bands. Like this is a guy who he learned his language. And I said, "Oh, that's like you for me." And he said, "Shut up." Why would you say that? And I was like, "Because it's true, Jay. Like I speak this language because I learned it from you. I know how to play this music because I learned it from you. You were part of the reason. And my best friend Brooks is in Jawbox and works at Magpie and plays on the record. So I kind of had like a nice in, you know what I mean? Like my best bud who we grew up playing music and trying to learn Jawbox songs and all of that. He's now spent over a decade, I think, being in his orbit. So I was already comfortable on like every possible way you could be comfortable. But when I listen to this record now, I can hear, I can hear, and not to be biblical about it, but I can hear a shepherd and I can hear a flock that is under their direction. And it's meaningful and it's beautiful. And it's not somebody that was hired to make a hit. It wasn't somebody that was hired to make a rock record or a radio record or a whatever fucking record. It was somebody that we trusted to guide us, to shepherd us. And it was a really powerful and beautiful experience. And the more time that goes by, the more grateful I am for it. Like it's aging really well.
You've said, that in this part in your career that you're working and yearning to make something that's meaningful to you. And like, as you've said, it doesn't get past you that you're so lucky to be making music at 49 and just, the way the industry has changed so much and stuff. Do you find it like quite a reflective process making music still, or is it just like kind of, proceed and press on?
I think guttural is a word that I would use. Like everything that I do is very guttural. So it's if I write something and it feels good, then I keep going. I don't write with this. I may edit with other stuff in mind, you know what I mean? I may look at 10 songs and pick three of them because they fit what we're trying to do collectively sonically, but I don't write specific to. I mean, I knew we needed a first song on the record, and I did sit down and write Split Lip based on that. Like I know I want to come out swinging. Like what's inside of me that can swing right now, and that sort of octave fall down riff was the first thing that came out of my guitar, and to me that's like. I mean, I hate to sound like hippy dippy, but I really believe in the universe guiding things. Like I really believe, and I could prove it with receipts, that I believe that guitars have songs in them. And if I pick up a guitar at a store or, at Fender or whatever, and it doesn't have songs in it for me, then I leave it because it has songs for somebody, but not for me. And I think that I mean, obviously I'm curtailed by price tags, so it's not like if I pick up $1,000 guitar, it's the same as if I look at a $50,000 guitar. Like those songs I can't afford, so it's okay. But I do believe that the universe is guiding me, and I try to be open to it because I think there is a much more powerful thing happening all around us all the time that I don't understand. But if I can get little guides to it, then I try to listen to them, if
I'm
that
just
makes
thinking of,
sense.
oh, definitely, yeah. I'm just thinking, I can't recall it quite off the top of my head, but does the front cover not quite have that sort of universal, or rather universe like imagery to it? Is that about right? Did that come much into it from what you've just said when it
All,
came
all
to?
all the pieces fell for a reason, and I didn't instruct any of them. So I really like Pat Riot's art because Matt Miller, our bass player, that's his pal. He's a street artist in LA. And I said, "Do you have any artist friends, man? Because like I'm struggling to figure out what I want this to be like." And he said, "Oh, check out my friend Pat." And I went through his website and I saw the original ring collage that this is based on. And I called him and I said, first off, he wasn't really familiar with our music. He listened to the record and then he listened to all of our records, and his kid is a fan, I think. And I said, "We don't have a huge budget." And he said, "I don't need money. Like honestly, I just want to make something. If you love this, then I want to make you one for you." So he made us a new one and he sent it and I was like, "This is perfect." And he said, "Hold on, I'm just gonna shoot the background with silver sparkles." And sent that and I was like, "Okay, that obviously makes sense." You know what I mean? Like without having the conversation, it's just he knew what it needed to go to the next space, and I was like ready for it for sure.
It seems like these sorts of things, like you say, you believe there's like, something that's making this all come together. It does seem, I read also that the title was inspired from something that was said on the John Candy documentary. It seems
Yeah.
like all these things seems to just click into place, which must be for you as an artist so rewarding when you pull something out of it, thin air, and then it's there, and you have this with the artwork and such. That must feel so rewarding to you once everything comes into place.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate, I don't know if the word is relief or just it's like when you believe in this stuff and then it happens, then you feel justified in your belief that you can't explain to anybody and you can't put a dollar on it and you can't ask for a timeline and you can't, like when I went to Equal Vision and said why I want to make this record and what I think about the band at this point and what I want to do, there was no justification for that at all. That's just blind faith. That's me saying like I've been doing this a really long time and this is what I think is happening right now and this is what I want to make. And they looked me in the eye and said, "Okay." It was as simple as that. It was a handshake. We didn't even sign a contract until the record was probably being pressed. Like it's just, at a certain level, and if you're able to communicate that, then you're doing all right. And I'm just grateful that all the pieces were there and you know, it's funny thinking about. So Neil, our drummer, is friends with the guy that made the John Candy documentary and was telling us about it months before we even recorded. We were on tour and he was telling us that he was telling us about a certain shot that they were working on that had been like troubling them or whatever it was. But we were like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Like I want to see that documentary. He's such a cool part of my memory, you know?" And then it's like, that's exactly what I want the record to be, is a cool part of your memory. And Macaulay Culkin handed me the title on a silver platter.
Do you ever like push back on things when they come in that respect? Like it's so interesting to hear that John, the person, was friends with the guy who made the documentary. But
Yeah.
do you ever like push back on those things that are coming from all angles, or is it just a
I
case of
think
take it on?
I think I just let it be in the space and try to be aware of it, which I'm not great at. Like I have a lot of stuff going on in my head all the time. This is like part of the way my brain works, and even if you learn about why your brain works that way, it doesn't make it any easier. I have like constant noise in my head, and I have to sort of work really hard to make space for things. So that's what I do. I just try and make space for like, and not be hyper reactive is like a thing. Just to step back and let it be like, I didn't go watch that documentary because Neil talked about it. It was on. And I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to see this because I heard about this one shot that they try to get in this church or whatever. And then I wasn't trying to name the record off of it. You know what I mean? It was just like that phrase came out and I was like, oh, there it is. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Job well done.
So you've said, that you spend a lot of time listening to people who tell you how important the music you make is to them. And that's not lost on you, that it's something, you're grateful about. And as we've talked about over the last hour, I can totally understand that from your character. We spoke with Steve Mason from the Beta Band, or the Beta Band rather, on dealing with fans who were struggling with depression like he was.
Mhm.
He struggles with depression and such. And he was saying, how important it is to, even if you're only in a fleeting moment, to give them at least something, because no matter how quick the interaction is, it could be something that is important to them because they've got you up here, whereas
Yeah.
to you, you might just be getting on the bus or what have you. So, like with people telling you how important your records are and songs are to them, how do you navigate this with people who put so much stock in you?
I try to give them all the time and space that I can, for sure. I never walk away pretty much from anything. The only time I ever ask for space is if I'm eating. I'll say, can we talk after I eat? Because I need to eat, which is pretty rare. I mean, I'm not famous, so but I try to give people the way I think about it is this is maybe their one opportunity to tell their story to me, and I want to respect that. And I'm also really good about knowing when you're done telling your story and now you're just being a dick. Like if you do this long enough, you also get like somebody who's trying to get something out of you, which you're very aware of all the time. You get when someone's trying to trap you in some sort of situation, if they want to like use you or whatever the case is, like we all have this like hyper aware sense of that because we do it every day. It's kind of like when you get heckled at a show and then you ask, like I always say, like if someone's heckling us, I always say like how often do you do this? How often do you heckle? Because I fucking do this every night. So if you think you're gonna win, you're not. I also have a microphone, you don't, and I have the power to kick you out. So just shut the fuck up and be cool. And then you can stay. Everybody's happy. You know what I mean? So I have the crowd on my side. Like I don't worry about that stuff because I do it every night. Not every night, but most nights. If you're on tour, you're doing it every night and you're in practice. I think you have the same thing with fans. And I think I know when somebody comes up and says, your music got me through this. And it could be like, when my dad passed or when I got divorced or when I lost my kid or whatever the case is, these are fucking super important moments in their life. And I could never understand someone who didn't have the humanity to give them that time. Like how do you not let somebody tell you about the most important thing and they're thanking you for being a part of their dealing with it in whatever way. It's the biggest compliment to me that I can get more than anything else. Like I don't believe in awards or any of that stuff. Like famously don't have anything in my house with my name on it. But the idea that somebody can sit and tell me that we brought them some sort of comfort is profound. I have 3 minutes just to let you know.
Oh, well, I was going to say a perfect note to end on, Jim. That was
Sorry. Sorry to fucking ruin it. Just edit that part.
no, I'll stick that right in at the start. I'll say, man, no,
Sorry.
that's absolutely fine, Jim. Appreciate that. But yeah, perfect note to end on. And thank you so much for the chat. It's really
Yes,
interesting and
sorry it took a minute to get it all lined up, but I'm grateful for you for doing it. Thanks for your patience, man.